Hey guys, I'm making a lot of videos tonight. I feel I owe you guys a little bit of an explanation. Well, I don't know. I thought I had explained this already, but maybe I didn't. I guess I got to go through my backlog of vids that I have put up to see if I did explain this already. It was interesting. I was talking to my wife a little bit about the videos I put up and stuff. And by and by, she started talking about, you know, the atheist videos I put up. And I said, you know, my videos aren't exactly atheist videos. She says, well, that's how you've been portraying yourself. I said, no, that's not how I've been portraying myself. She said, well, it's, you know, since you hang around most atheist channels, they're going to assume that, you know, you're a straight up atheist. So I think I feel I owe you guys a bit of an explanation before I go on with this stuff. Alright? I kind of got caught up in this whole atheist video stuff for two major reasons. One, because I've been debating against religion for some time. Excuse that, it's my damn radio. I've been debating this stuff for some time. Ever since I was a kid. Literally, like, you know, 12, 13 years old, I've been debating religious people on their beliefs and finding holes in this. So, talking about this stuff does come a little bit natural for me. But another reason why I've been putting up videos with, you know, the religious debating themes is because I was kind of pushed into it by Christians who wouldn't leave me the fuck alone. Well, the fanatical Christians. I have to be fair. When the whole vote bot thing started blowing up at the beginning of this year, I was one of the people targeted. But at the time, most of my videos were not religious themed. They went after me simply because of my evolution videos. That was it. And the funny thing was, the evolution videos was mostly trying to explain to people what the theory of evolution was and what the scientific process entails. Because most people, the creationists debating this stuff, had no clue what it was. So I was trying to explain to them, look, the reason why people are laughing at you in these arguments is because you don't really understand what it is you're debating against. So here, let me explain this. So I started getting vote botted like crazy by religious fanatics. So I was like, fine, you guys want to lump me up with all the others? You're going to get it. And I started slamming them left and right with that shit. And I'm going to continue slamming them left and right. You guys brought the war to my doorstep, as you usually do. That's what I find. Most of the time, it's the religious fanatics bringing the fight to other people. The other people are minding their own freaking business. Now, I will say that these days, there seems to be a so-called new breed of atheists that is now beginning to take the fight to other people, which is kind of upsetting the old school atheists. The old school atheists, they want to make things a little bit more thoughtful and about logic and all this. And the younger breeds are all about being in your face and insulting and mocking and all that and, you know, being a lot more sensationalistic. Now, some people may say that this is negative, and I'll admit there are some negative connotations to this, but I also have to admit something. When you're dealing with people who will not listen to reason, it doesn't matter how intelligent your argument is or how thoughtful you're being. They're not going to fucking listen to you. But I have found a lot of people that, you know, second guess themselves when they're being mocked. It's interesting. You embarrass the hell out of somebody, you get them to think twice about something. But when you're trying to illogically explain something to people, they usually don't want to fucking listen to you. So there you go. But as far as myself is concerned, I'm not really an atheist. I'm not. Actually, I'm realizing I did do a video on this a long time ago, so I guess I will put the link up there when I find it. But I guess I'm going to do a little bit of a modern clarification again. I'm not really an atheist. I'm agnostic in the sense that I really don't fucking know. I do think that pretty much most of the damn evidence is pointing that all this religion stuff is bullshit, and as far as a personal God is concerned, there's no evidence of that. And as long as there's really no evidence towards something, I don't see any reason why I should jump towards believing it exists. People make the argument, well, you can't prove that there is no God. I can't prove that there are no unicorns either. So are you guys going to tell me that there really are unicorns? There really are elves? There really are dragons? Most of you guys won't be willing to make that argument. We can make the argument that none of you can prove that Zeus isn't here. But hey, you never know. He could be walking down the street right now about to buy a sandwich from Subway's, and then ready to strike them down with lightning if they don't give it to him because they didn't follow his rules of hospitality. When it comes to the current notions of religion and a personal God, in that aspect you can say I'm atheist. Bullshit. But I do happen to believe that there is something, I just don't know what it is. I don't think it's some personal God looking at the world in the palm of his hand, because let's face it, the universe is way too vast and there's too much going on for him to honestly care about what we are doing here. And even in our own planet, there's so many things that don't add up. If we're the most important part of God's creation, supposedly, and everything was catered for us, why are there fish and other organisms in the ocean that we will never be able to get to, that we still have yet to discover, living down there, their lives completely oblivious to us, and we will probably never interact with them? Why are they there? What's their purpose if the focus is supposed to be on us? Because with religion, the focus is always on us. What about everything else? There's so much life and so much species on here, and there's systems going on right now that's got nothing to do with our existence, but it's there. Why is it there? Religion can't answer that. See, I'm mostly concerned with thought and reason. The stuff that makes sense. Now, I'll admit that there are things that I believe in that don't really make sense. But you don't see me making videos about those things, do I? And I don't try to shove those things down your throat saying, accept this or else! I don't know if it's true or not. This is something I happen to believe. But they're irrational and they can't be proven, so I keep it to my goddamn self. Or God-blessed self, if people don't like that word. I just mostly figure if you're going to be debating something, or if you're going to try to push something out there, it's got to be something that can be proven. And by proven, that means you need to be able to do it with third-party sources. Somebody else who doesn't believe in it or has no vested interest whatsoever should be able to go through it and go, oh, it is true. If they can't do that, you can't prove it. So keep it to yourself. Now, of course, there are going to be people going, well, I experienced. You can't tell me that. Your mind is an illusion machine. We experience shit all the time that's got nothing to do with reality. Right now, there's a door across the way right there. There's a face in it. I can't help but see a face there. The reason why I can't help but see a face there is because that's the way our human minds are wired. If you look at an electrical outlet, you can't help but see two rectangular eyes and a little circle mouth. Can you? Try not to see the face there. Let me just put it that way. Try not to see the face there. You can't help it, you will. Our minds like forming patterns. It's what we do. So inevitably, in looking at some abstract object, you might see a face and eyes, nose, and a mouth, or whatever. That's just the way our brains are wired. But to some nut with little education, they see Mary on the wall. They see Jesus in their underwear stain. And they think that somehow they've been blessed. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. Hate to burst your bubble. That's what it is. But here's the kicker. That's your experience. So you're going to jump up and down and go, I experienced it. It must be real. No, that's just your own interpretation, and your interpretation doesn't have to be true. That's the tricky thing about debating all this stuff. You can't just base things only on your own experience. You can't, because our experiences are always going to be warped. This is also one of the things I was trying to argue with Kelly Jones about her so-called views on male psychology. All of our minds are flawed in the sense that how we experience things isn't always going to reflect the truth of the matter. So if you're then going to argue just on what you've experienced, you don't have the whole story. The only way you know for certain you got the whole story is if your perceptions are clear. And we're not really there yet. This is one of the major focuses on Eastern philosophies, by the way. Getting your perceptions to be clear, to see through the fog of the illusion that is your mind's processes. That's the whole focus on meditation and being able to deal with what's real, what's actually there. They realized long ago that the way we experience the world isn't exactly the way the world is. The problem is, you got a lot of religious people who will just take things at face value, and because it pleases their ego or pleases their, what they believe to be true, they consider it to be reality. And it's not. in a weird sort of way, even though they make the charge that agnostics and atheists only believe in what they can see, hear, and smell, the truth of the matter is that sort of applies to religious people too. Because once they experience something that they think is a miracle, it's a miracle. They will not use any outside sources to prove whether it is or not. They don't recognize that their minds can play tricks on them. However, the atheist and the agnostic does, which is why they rely on reason and logic to figure it all out. Weird paradox, isn't it?